What's up, PlayStation Universe, and welcome back to our E3 coverage. And today, right now, at this very moment, we're going to talk about a game that I've personally been anticipating ever since we saw it last year.
That's right, that was you. Yeah, you saw that last year.
Its debut in the Devolver Digital tent, and that is the sequel to Shadow Warrior. So, of course, the aptly titled Shadow Warrior 2.
Aptly indeed. Shadow Warrior 2, yep. Lo Wang is back, and what we have with Shadow Warrior 2 is essentially Borderlands meets Duke Nukem. That's
excellent.
How I would peg it, right?
Perfect. I'm in.
That's an elevator pitch.
Yeah.
All right, and off. No, Shadow Warrior 2 impressed me a lot. So I went hands-on with the game for about a half hour, playing through a certain campaign quest a couple times, which was primarily designed to show that environments in the game, levels in the game, are actually procedurally generated. So, and most of the environments are, not every single one, but as you go back through the campaign multiple times, what they'll do is they'll seed an entire environment for you with a unique set of enemies, unique setting. It could be more of a dense jungle forest, or it could be kind of a sort of Japanese feeling town setting, right?
Now, can I stop you there for 1 second and just ask about the idea of procedural generation? Some people would say a lot of games that we've seen seem to be kind of void of personality sometimes.
Oh, sure.
There is a procedural generation, and the limitations of that system kind of come to the forefront quite often.
I mean, I couldn't say the opposite more strongly for this game, and I think that's more due to the fact that the game just has that much flavor. If I was really being examining about it, I could probably point to elements of the procedural generation where it's okay, well, clearly, there's a ledge here because there has to be. You need a way to get out of the
design.
Necessity. So there's those things that happen. But I mean, the areas themselves have a lot of flavor. I mean, I stumbled through. The second time we loaded the quest level, it was this this massive pit with a lot of overhanging bridges and tall cliffs, and I fell into that pit way below where the quest marker was, and ended up having to climb my way out of it. But there was a whole nest of demons there at the bottom of the pit, and my allies had to dive down in to help me, and that was such a different feeling from the sort of dense jungle of our first walkthrough. To back up to the Borderlands meets Duke Nukem kind of thing, it's Borderlands in the sense that Shadow Warrior 2 is an up to 4-player co-op first person shooter. Shooter, because most of what you're doing is with guns, firearms, grenade launchers, but Lo Wang also has access to a katana that's highly...
Yeah, of course.
It's an advanced tool of destruction. He's got a lot of moves you can do with it, like forward stabs and backward, sort of ranged slashes, as well as a area of effect, circular slash. That's a lot of fun. But then the Duke Nukem side of that really comes into both the game's humor, which is a little more on the side of the kind of profane, adult, sort of dark comedy sort of thing. I mean, it's not afraid to use some bad language here, some sort of toilet humor over here.
It's weird, yeah.
But it's all in good fun. It seemed tasteful, all things considered. I mean,
it seems like Devolver Digital are taking the Duke Nukem mantle upon themselves, the likes of Serious Sam and VR, and of course maybe coming to PS4, and then this, of course.
Certainly those games owe a lot to that classic, as well as Shadow Warrior 2's sort of movement and controls. I like just the fact that it is first person and it moves at a certain pace, and you face off against these large demons. It did evoke Duke Nukem just in its tone, and it evoked Doom a little bit in its tone. What really struck me was just the variety of combat options and how tight and polished using all those things are. You've got a weapon wheel, and in the demo quest we were outfitted with a ton of awesome stuff. An assault rifle that fired freeze bullets, a grenade launcher that fired lightning grenades, a fire elemental minigun, right?
Okay.
Double handle minigun.
And that's actually interesting as well, because I think if you were looking at the artwork for the game and kind of what they're driving home is that samurai.
Yeah, there's
katana,
that ninja vibe, right?
That is it.
And that's an effective tool. I think what really struck me is that it starts to lean toward the Borderlands, the RPG, in that every enemy has certain resistances and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And the game doesn't try to hide that from you or make you search for it. You can basically look at an enemy and see below their health the things they're resistant to, the things they're weak to, as well as a nice visual cue that I really appreciate. If you're shooting an enemy with a bullet type that it's resistant to, like shock or freeze, whatever have you, you're going to see a little down red arrow next to all the damage numbers that appear to indicate you're doing less than you should.
Yeah.
Likewise, a green arrow up says you're exploiting their
That's
weaknesses.
appreciated.
Yeah. So there's plenty of options there, as well as the fact that the weapons you pick up can be slotted with those elemental bonuses and bonuses of other kinds as well. Probably things like more damage, maybe faster fire rate and stuff like that. So
stuff,
yeah, there's customization. I think what's going to be cool about it is playing through the game and finding out what gun do you like. Do you like the feeling of the shotgun? Do you like the feeling of the minigun? And then outfitting that with the gems or the elemental attributes rather that really make your playtime a good time. The sword is an effective tool in its own, of course, and then as a Borderlandsy homage or just something that really conjures that co-op feel, it is of course a co-op experience, and you can bring friends with you throughout the duration of the entire campaign.
Oh, nice. And as well, just to touch on like the graphics. Obviously, we have procedural generation.
Oh yeah, that's right. That impressed you a year ago.
Yeah,
right?
I got to say, last year I was really impressed by some of the effects, the particle effects, and just the leaves and the trees and stuff. And
yeah, definitely. It's a good looking game, no question about it. More than that, the technical polish really got me. I mean, the frame rate, rock solid the entire way through. If not a locked 60, certainly a locked 30 or a locked 45. I mean, it was very, very solid. And we never encountered any kind of glitches of any sort. It always felt like my bullets and the hits that I was scoring were in direct response to my actions. No gimmicks, no confusion or poor design there. It's just a rock solid shooter, really.
Yeah.
With some solid melee combat. I mean, there's definitely some viscerality to using, left stick with the trigger to spin in such a way that you're slashing everything around you.
Is there any dismembered featurement there?
I definitely chopped off some limbs in my time playing. Yeah, I didn't note a specific like execution feature, dismemberment feature, but definitely you will see enemy bodies, demon bodies who are invading this world, be slashed up to bits if you choose to use that, or diced to bits if you happen to find the chainsaw in your adventures, which I did.
So do we have a release window or? Right
now it's just TBA 2016. I think we'll see it sooner rather than later because the game does look that polished and that technically up to speed. For the moment, it seems like the only things they might really have left to work on. Obviously, of course, they only saw a small section, but just tightening up balance, I'm sure, is a part of it as well as where do we want players to discover these 70 weapons that we have in the game? Like where should those appear along the course of the story?
It's hard to think of that. 70 weapons.
It's just it's a rock solid shooter RPG with that Duke Nukem. I like the Serious Sam example, that Serious Sam flavor. I think it's unique. Yeah, exactly. That
Duke certainly is not.
The collection of those things make it unique in the gaming space. So I had a lot of fun playing it.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Scott. That was our impressions of Shadow Warrior 2, coming TBA 2016, developed by Flying Wildhog.
Yep.
Published by Devolver Digital. So please stay tuned to PSU all throughout the week for E3 coverage. We've got videos, we've got articles, impressions. Stay tuned to Twitter, to Facebook, etc. Everywhere and anywhere, we're there. So thanks very much and stay tuned. See you next time.